Hey guys, it's Trent Russell here. Today I'm sharing with you exactly how to land your dream tech sales job in 2023. Let's get started. After having spoke with thousands of sales reps, the number one mistake they make that prevents them from getting hired is mass applying to companies. This strategy simply does not work, so follow these 3 proven steps to get hired sooner rather than later without any experience today. Optimize your LinkedIn profile. Make a list of your personal work preferences, make another list of the top 10 companies you want to work for the most that fit those preferences. And then step number 3, begin prospecting into those companies, selling yourself as if you are already selling for one of those companies. Beginning with step number 1, your LinkedIn profile is the new resume. I have spoken with dozens of recruiters and I asked them all, how do you decide when to give someone an interview or not? And every one of the recruiters say, we look at their LinkedIn profile. It's like 40% of our decision criteria, whether we move them forward or not. I used to interview people from my previous company for culture fit. And the first thing I would do is not look at the resume. I would look at their LinkedIn profile. 3 actionable steps you can take today to improve your LinkedIn profile immediately after this video is headshot, summary, experience. Beginning with your headshot, you want a professional headshot with perfect lighting in a neutral background. You can go look at my LinkedIn profile, 30,000 followers, for an example, but what I would recommend is you simply get out your phone, you take a picture in front of a window so it's perfect lighting, you upload that picture to your computer, you buy a Canva subscription, I have one, costs $12 a month, you upload that photo to Canva, you press one button to remove the background, and then you add a neutral gray, light gray like color, like I have on my LinkedIn profile, and then all of a sudden it looks like you just paid $1,000 for a professional headshot, when in reality it cost you a one-time payment of $12 in 12 minutes to take your photo and upload it to your computer. Keep your summary short, sweet, to the point. If you're not a good writer like me, what I'd recommend doing is going to ChatGPT and ask it, hey, write me a summary for my LinkedIn profile talking about how I am interested in getting hired in tech sales. Copy and paste that exact blurb into your summary, and then all of a sudden, it looks like you have great grammar skills and you're a good writer, and it serves its purpose because the summary isn't really gonna qualify you or disqualify you. It's just something that's there. And then finally, the experience section arguably is the most important behind the headshot. I would recommend going to ChatGPT for this section as well, because if you clicked on this video, you wanna get hired in tech sales and you don't have any experience, so you're asking, okay, how do I actually stand out? What is your X factor? So regardless of the experience you have to have something, whether it's sales, not sales, tech, non-tech. I've helped a pastor get hired into tech sales. And what I'd recommend doing is going to ChatGPT and say, I need to create a resume, my experience as a pastor, I need to sell myself, why I would be a good fit to get hired as a sales development rep. Write me some specific outcomes and results of that experience. And then all of a sudden you're starting to write blurbs, how you ran sermons, you have great communication, public speaking skills, and then you can start to highlight your specific X factor. I was involved in student organizations in college. I never had an internship. I had no connections. I had no relevant sales experience. So I had to frame myself around this leadership potential, how I'll grow within the organization. Ask yourself whatever you've done in the past, and you need to frame that like it is perfectly prepared you your whole life to get hired in this job. I know at this point you're thinking, wow, this is a lot that I need to go take care of today immediately after watching this video, and it's not going to be easy. So what I'd advise to you is just consider these companies need to hire you in order to grow. These recruiters do not get paid unless they hire successful candidates. So the world is not working against you, it is working for you to get hired. Step number 2 to getting hired in tech sales without any experience is to make a list of your work preferences and then make a list of the top 10 companies that you want to work for the most that fit those preferences. As you think about your work preferences, there's 4 questions that you need to answer, and I'd recommend taking notes in this section and then actually writing them down yourself. Beginning with, do you want to work fully remote? Do you want to work fully in the office, or do you want to work hybrid? This is something that will be called out in the description regarding your work preferences and work flexibility. So I know that this is a hot button topic right now, so certainly a consideration you want to make. Next is work location. So do you want to go work at the quote unquote HQ, or do you live in another state separate from the HQ where you would technically be rolling up into a branch location? So even if you're gonna work fully remote, I would consider, are you working fully remote from the state of Tennessee, but you wanna work for a company that's based in California? Or do you already live in Florida and you wanna get hired at a company that's HQ'd in Florida? I would highly recommend that you look to work at companies that you live reasonably near the HQ, so that even if you are working remote, you still have the opportunity to go into the major office. I personally worked at a branch location in Dallas, and my company was based in Utah, and all of the big players were in Utah, so it was a mistake being in the branch office. The next question you need to answer, what is the specific title that you are going after? If you're trying to get in tech sales with no experience, you're probably gonna start bottom of the totem pole like me as a sales development or business development representative. Each title basically does the same thing. You're responsible for doing prospecting to generate pipeline. The more pipeline a business has, the more revenue, the more money they're gonna make. If you're a little bit more tenured in your career and you're trying to switch into tech from, let's say, car sales, or you worked in a mall forever or a non-tech industry, maybe you want to go directly into a closing role, which would be an account executive or an enterprise account executive. This is where the big money's at. And then the fourth and final question you need to answer is, what is the pay band that you're going to work within? Are you going to hold yourself to between $60,000 and $90,000, or are you only going to take a job that pays you six figures, $100,000 or more? The tech sales salaries typically are broken out into OTE, which stands for on target earning, and a percentage of your pay is going to be a base pay, which is your salary, which is fixed, and then a variable pay, which is your commission based on your performance. If you are seeking out roles that are 100% commission based, I would not recommend this because that's a red flag. When I first started in tech sales 5 years ago as a sales development rep, my on-target earning was $50,000. And then by the final year, at age 26, as a senior account executive, my on-target earning was $237,000. But I went on to earn $302,000 because I outperformed my quota. And that's why sales is so great, because there's unlimited upside. I want to make a list of the top 10 companies you want to work for the most. I would recommend going directly to the top, and there's two resources I have for you that are free. Number one is the Substack Clouded Judgment. It's written by a venture capitalist. I read it weekly, and he basically breaks down the top performing software companies by a variety of metrics. I would use that list to then go search them on their company website, on the company LinkedIn, to see if they are hiring for the specific position you're interested in. Another opportunity is by going to companymarketcap.com, and you can filter by the top 1,000 largest technology companies. So you can just go directly down the list and say, if these are the biggest companies, I'm sure they can pay me the most amount of money. Or you could go to TechCrunch and see what tech companies are getting funded. So if you want to go work for a smaller startup type company, there's going to be less structure but more upside and less training at a smaller company. But a bigger company like a Microsoft, like a Amazon AWS, they're going to pay you more money, and there's going to be a lot more training. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend going the route where you're going to be provided better training. And then once you're ready to start applying, another strategy I would recommend is going on to LinkedIn, clicking the jobs tab, and then searching for the specific title you are interested in. For example, if you type in sales development rep, hundreds of thousands of open job positions come up, and really start to have a filter and say, if it doesn't fit my specific criteria, work preferences, if I've never heard of the company or familiar with the brand, I'm not going to apply to them. Remember, the decision of the companies that you put on your top 10 list is one of the most important of your life. I would argue that selecting your partner, husband, wife is probably the most important decision, but one of the next most important decisions is how are you going to spend your time? If you spend 40 hours a week at your job for 56 weeks a year, that's 2,200 hours per year you will be spending doing this type of work, selling this product, surrounded by those people in that potential location. So be very mindful of what companies and what preferences you have, because it's going to change the entire path of your life. Step 3 is to begin prospecting into these companies, selling yourself as if you were already selling the product for that company. Remember, it takes the same skill set to get hired in a sales job as it does to find success in a sales job. There are two paths into any company, the front door and the back door. The front door is going on to the company website directly, applying for the job position you want. You could also go to the company LinkedIn page, apply for the position you want. This is helpful because you can see the available positions that are right there. I would begin by starting by doing this so you're aware of what potential positions are out there. And if you're tempted to start reaching out to people at the company, remember, if someone recommends you for a position, typically in tech, that's not going to give you any sort of advantage. It's basically like applying through the front door, so be mindful of that. I would recommend going through the back door. After you're familiar with what companies you want to work for and they're actually hiring for the positions you're going for, the back door involves getting as creative as possible to get hired. For example, I know someone that cold called a VP of sales at a smaller company to get their attention, to get an introduction to an actual hiring manager that's in a position to influence that person's career. That's just one example, but figure out how can you network your way into these companies. Once you're aware of what companies you want to work for, you're only going after 10, you're not going after thousands. You need to go very deep. So can you go connect with on LinkedIn after you've optimized it? Specific recruiters, specific SDR, BDR managers, VP of sales, CRO, chief revenue officers. Maybe you want to go directly to a CEO, president. Different levels of the organization, each of these people have different levels of influence. So don't just immediately go to them and come off as desperate. Hey, I would really like to get hired because I want to get paid money. Come across as you are confident that you are there to solve a problem for them. The problem all of these people have is they want to look better in their career. They want to help the companies be more successful. So how can you give them that? For example, what you could do for someone like me, you go connect with me on LinkedIn, you go start liking all of my posts, commenting on them for a month, not asking for anything. And then all of a sudden you shoot me a direct message, a voice message and say, hey, I really like your post, your content. I see you've been at this company for 4 years. You've had a lot of success. Can you write me just the 3 reasons why you stay at this company? You take that context and then you go apply through the front door and you say, hey, I spoke with Trent at insert XYZ company and he said he likes the company for these reasons. This is my background experience is why I would be a great fit. Can we set up a meeting to talk about how I would get hired at your company? And that's just one example, but I'm really interested to hear about the creative ways you guys position yourself to get hired at these companies.